Hello. Welcome to Talk to Daddy Hey, episode 13. I have been inspired by this lovely new moon that is coming our way tomorrow. In my head, for some reason, I thought it was a full moon. Um, it's not, and that makes more sense. And we've just entered this wild Leo season, which usually has me lit up, but I'm lit up in a little bit of a different way last night, this morning. Hopefully, it's a short stint, but the new moon is dark, right? There's no moon, and it is the shadow. And so today, why the hell not? Why don't we just talk about my shit? I think that this is important because these apps and, I'm predominantly on Instagram and it is a highlight reel. Whether you show up authentically like I try to do, we're not showing it all. And so yeah, let's get to it. Last night, or I guess this afternoon, almost paid $10,000 to hire a coach. This isn't the first time that I've talked to a coach. I actually have a very good, dear, close person to me that I trust and love and respect, and have chatted with her about potentially using her as a coach, and she was much cheaper. And I said no to that. And then last night I got on a call with a pretty well-known coaching team to just kind of get myself rolling a little bit better. And I heard the number and it was pretty bang on to what I thought it was going to be. And I spent all afternoon kind of having a conversation in my mind about how I'm going to convince my husband to jump on this. And so I told him that I did the masterclass and that I did a masterclass with them, a free masterclass about social media and marketing and creating a niche and making money on platforms like this. And I was pretty like 99% gonna do it. And then my beautiful friend and her husband have recently started a podcast, and I listened to it. And without getting too much into it, I will plug them and I will plug their podcast here at the end of the episode. But it was a lot about money and our thoughts about earning and giving and receiving. And so it really hit home. It really hit really close to home. And I thought, why not today talk about the shadows and my yuckiness? Because we all have it and we all have these thoughts. And, I spent, an hour last night crying with my husband, not sure why I'm like this. And he kindly reminded me that I am not alone, that we all have these thoughts. And, I know that. But sometimes it is overwhelming and it comes over you like a cloud. And it's really hard to see the light in those shadows, in that darkness. And so I am just gonna get it out there, and I'll probably feel much better about myself afterwards. So I guess the biggest shadow that I am working through right now is finances. I have had a job since I was 13. I got my first job when I was 13 years old. legally. I would clean my dad runs a trucking company, and I would go in there on Saturdays with him, and he would pay me $20 to clean the inside of the semi trucks. And, I was severely underpaid because damn, those are disgusting. And like working there into my late 20s, I couldn't believe the hard work that I did for such shit pay. And if you know my dad, like he would audit me and I would have soapy water in a bucket and I would scrub. And so, like, work ethic and working is not something that I am scared of. I have worked in the oil field, I've worked night shift on plant shutdowns, I have worked a desk job, I've done a lot. I have sold fish out of the back of a van. I've delivered. There is much more to that story. But I delivered high-end, extremely good quality fresh fish around to the number one restaurants in Edmonton. I have painted. I've done a fair share of hard work. I also am a mother. I was also my father's personal assistant or executive assistant for a few years, which was pretty chill, to be honest, but it was still interesting. And so money has been something in the last year and a half since mat leave and the economy has tanked here in Canada that I have really been struggling with. I, to my core, am a very giving person. And although that hasn't gone away, I have started putting these I've started attaching like I must receive in order to give. I've started associating my finances with very yucky emotions. I've never budgeted. I've always been like a very go with the flow. What comes goes, work hard, spend hard, or work hard, play hard. And it's not until recently that I haven't had an income where I have started associating money with negative emotions or frequencies or vibrations like shame or fear or guilt. And it wasn't until last night where I had a pretty deep conversation with my husband about, how I've been feeling, where I started kind of backpedaling as to when and where this started. Because seriously, it is not who I am. And I think a lot of it has to do with like some trust issues within our relationship. We're in a really good place, but um, we haven't been before. And so I do have some reservations about my future and if I'm going to be okay and like what would it look like if Nick and I were to break up, which is like not something that um I've ever really thought about, even like in the thick of our issues. And so I have been sitting with that um for a bit here and like wondering why or how could I improve my relationship with money. I have a really good friend who paid off a wild amount of debt, and it's extremely inspiring. But I think that potentially something there has like triggered something within me. This very like hardcore approach and very like black and white approach to money, I don't think serves me personally. Um, the money that we receive is never the same, especially when Nick's on the road. It's very like it fluctuates. Our income fluctuates a lot depending on where he's working and what we're doing. And, I just got hired on as a sub at my yoga studio, and it fills me up so much. You don't make a good income or what, I mean, that's very subjective, but you couldn't pay the bills as being just a yoga teacher, especially if you're going to just sub here and there. I mean, you probably could make good money if you taught 5 days a week, but that leads to burnout, and I'm not willing to compromise my personal practice, um, my creative energy in order to get a paycheck. I've definitely started watching how I spend my money. I used to go pretty hard. I used to be a pretty good shopper. Like West Edmonton Mall is one of my hangouts, and I can do some damage at that store. My Visa card is used and abused, and it's not anymore. Like I'm pretty on top of it, but we do have some debt that we have racked up in this last year, which we knew we were going to, considering the renovations and the economy and just what we wanted to do. We're okay with it. We have a line of credit with a very good interest rate, and we're slowly paying that down. And, if we sell this house, it's paid off anyways. And so that's really not an issue, but for some reason, and I think like a lot of it is like doom and gloom. My dear father is not as positive about the future, or actually that changed. His tone's changed a little bit. He is more positive about the future. Um, last time I chatted with him, but for the last few months, he has been extreme doom and gloom. We're waiting to hear back on a little job offer for Nick, which is going to be good money and a cool adventure. And if that doesn't go through, we're going to be okay. There's going to be some work. And that has shifted. And so the doom and gloom for my dad, we spend pretty much every Sunday together with my family. We go over for dinner, and for the last little bit, it has not been positive. It hasn't been like, you guys are going to be okay. It's going to be like just the next couple of months, and then there's work, study work, and I guess I took all of that to heart. And I have been living in this little doom and gloom. There's not enough. We're never going to make it. We're always going to be struggling mindset, which is so wrong. And it really goes against a lot of my deep personal beliefs in abundance and manifestation and, those woo woo kind of words. And so thankfully today I've woken up, and I guess sometimes all you need is like a good cry and your husband to hold your hand and tell you that everything's going to be okay. And so I got that and I received that, and I definitely feel better. And so I'm not going to spend $10,000 to be coached on how to start a business online. I am going to figure out a way that feels authentic and right to me, in exchange for my energy, and go from there. I've had so many opportunities, and I have so many cool things coming down the pipeline that I'm cool with. I'm okay. And it was just interesting now sitting with this today on like kind of wondering why I would even consider outsourcing something like that. And I know that there's extreme benefits to having a coach. I'm sure that if I committed to it, I would have wished that I started sooner, kind of thing. but we're just not right. We're just not there. We have so much on the go. I have a couple of courses that I have invested in and want to complete. And so I'm going to be working on that again. It's a prenatal and postnatal yoga certification. And I started it when I found out that I was pregnant this early or late winter, February-ish. And so having a loss and then continuing on that prenatal course was really tough for me. And that is so gross and yucky to say because I am a tough bitch and sometimes I'm not as tough as I think I am. And so look at how, speaking of shadows, look at how filthy dirty my fireplace is. It's gross. Let's just go like this instead. Just kidding. I should just use that vacuum and vacuum it up, but that's for a different day. So money has been a big shadow for me. And like, we're not broke. We have a beautiful house. We have probably close to $200,000 liquid cash in the eyes of the bank if we were to sell our house. And we aren't too sure what we want to do there. It's the summertime, and so I guess next shadow is being extremely impatient with most things. I am not a patient person, and the biggest thing that I'm learning through the act of yoga, the yogic philosophy is to be present. And I live in the future. I live in the future far too much, and I know that, and I'm very aware. But sometimes it just takes a hold of you. And I am looking at realtor.ca. I am doing mortgage calculators. I am just constantly looking at stuff. And it really takes you out of the present moment. It really takes you out of the gratitude and these simple, everyday things that are really what life's about. And so I found myself being not so much of a present parent. I found myself consumed in what is going to happen in the future. And, again, my husband reminded me, Alex, that is not uncommon. Like, this isn't just a you thing. This is an everyone thing. Everyone in this world goes through these shadow times or these like, what if, what's going to happen, worried about the future. But it's extremely uncomfortable for me because I don't live there very often. Like, I've never lived there. I've always just trusted that life is good. And perhaps maybe that stems from coming from a pretty privileged home. Grew up and was raised in St. Albert. This is the first year that I haven't taken a tropical holiday, and I am turning 30. Like, how? What? And I am embarrassed about that. I feel shame about that. Why? I don't know. And I shouldn't even say that because I was just in San Diego for a weekend. But anyways, so yeah, money. What the hell? What a thing. What a made up, silly thing to worry about because I truly believe that you put energy and you put service out into the world and that is going to come back to you. And I have just had this thing in my head that my one of my sweet, beautiful friends, her and her husband actually just started a podcast, and I will plug them here. Um, it's called Good Enough, and it is just, they are two really beautiful human beings. And yeah, I listened to their episode yesterday, and while in the trenches of this like money thing, and like, am I gonna hire a coach? Like, what am I gonna do here? How am I gonna make money? How can I make money? And they just had a really cool conversation about how different they are when it comes to giving and receiving. And I'm naturally a very giving person, and I've stopped doing that, or I guess I've put like, yeah, anyways. I want to get back to me being me and me giving, and without any need of receiving. Just be happy. They made a comment in their episode about, body language, or how you feel when you go to the grocery store and buy food. And man, I am really not enjoying going to the grocery store. I don't know if it's the prices of the food, or that I have usually a 2.5-year-old in tow who wants to walk and be a menace in the grocery store. But I have, when I've tapped my card, had a very restrictive, or like, and not an open, willing. I am grateful that I have the money to pay for my groceries. I have been like angry and resentful and like mad that I am paying so much for food. I still have the money to pay for it. And like, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. So that is a shadow that I am really working towards figuring out, and shifting and changing, and being more in an abundance mindset, um, which is so interesting to me. Really dissecting when and why and how I've shifted. Number two, my runner up is my body. I am 2.5 years postpartum, and I just had a miscarriage at 14 weeks, 2.5 months ago. And I have been very unhappy with how I look in the mirror. I haven't really changed that much at all. But there's been a few things that, you get caught up in. Cellulite. A couple of my favorite pairs of jeans don't fit the way that they used to. And I have really been mean to myself. I have been being mean to myself. I have not been feeling um, the best. And when I say I haven't been feeling the best, I mean like when I look in the mirror, I don't really like what I see. I'm pretty average. I'm an average chick. I like to enjoy life. I like to eat. I like to drink. I like to, consume. That's a little hint on what the third one is. Um, but I know that in reality, I'm postpartum. I am just settling. My hormones are just settling. I just had my first regular cycle, and I am really strong. I am really strong. Like, I'm not to toot my own horn here, but I am strong. I could outlift a lot of people. Um, I have muscle, and I have a little fat over that muscle, and that's okay. Right now in the current stage that I'm in. Do I want that to be forever? Absolutely not. But do I have to love myself and give myself grace through this process? Yeah. Talk about frequency, talk about vibration. And if you are, I just had my girlfriend over here picking raspberries. She left with a 7 kilogram bucket full. Like, I have put on my stories, I am taking applications on picking raspberries. Yes, you get to keep them. I had a couple of people ask if like you're just coming over to be my slave, and absolutely not. Like, you're taking the raspberries home. So any like confusion there. I'm not asking you to pick raspberries for me. I'm asking you to come here and pick raspberries for yourself and take them home and do whatever you please with them. But we were having a conversation about um, food and shame, and eating in shame, eating a salad because you want to be skinny. versus laughing with friends, eating a Big Mac. Enjoy. And what those two different things do to our bodies. And there are, there are many places around the world, but some temples or whatever you want to call them. I'm sure that there's a proper name for them, but like the Hare Krishna temple, there are some that have kitchens and they sing and they pray over their food. And in India, there is a mantra that is very commonly sung while cooking your food. And it's like blessing the food and thanking God for your food. And to do that over your food is so powerful. But here I am being upset with because my jeans aren't skinny enough, or I'm not skinny enough for my jeans, and being like just eating in shame. And, I've done a couple of workout challenges with a couple of my girlfriends that did not last long. And, we're all in very different seasons of our life. So it was kind of funny to even consider it. But we tried and it was good. And so for the past few weeks, I've been working out more consistently, moving my body when it feels good to pushing myself a little harder, being more present, loving and being grateful for the food that I am eating and not having like good or bad labels on food, listening to my body when consuming the food, versus like just binging. And like when I say binge, like I don't have an eating disorder by any means. And I know that people struggle with that. But I definitely tend to overeat, whether that be I'm a good cook and it tastes really freaking good, or that, we live in this overconsumption society. You go to the store. I feel like I went to a Dairy Queen. I got my husband a Dairy Queen ice cream cake, and my son and I had some chicken strips. And I asked for a small, and they didn't have a small. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you have a small cup? And so there's just like lots of things that are programmed into our brains about consumption sizes and portioning, and portion sizes is something that, especially when you are living and enjoying life, your consumption goes up. Thankfully, we don't consume very much alcohol in this household, so that's not that big of a deal. I have had the odd glass of wine here and there this summer. And I cherish that and I love it and I respect it. And so I think that that is a huge shadow that I'm working towards, working through being postpartum, being a mother, constantly serving and giving, and just recently having stopped breastfeeding, and that demand of calories in versus calories out has shifted and changed for me. And I think that I haven't really been present to the fact that my body is asking for less. So that is something that I'm working towards, working through. I feel good in my body. I'm strong. I am happy and I'm healthy. And, some days you feel like shit. Sometimes you look in the mirror and you are not enjoying what you see, mostly, in your luteal phase. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that I have a beautiful, supportive husband who loves me no matter what, plus or minus 5 pounds, and that's what I'm talking about. Like it's plus or minus 5 pounds. And it's just so silly. So silly because I am healthy and I'm active and I move my body. I am a fitness instructor of sorts. I am constantly moving. I'm constantly going. I actually recently broke up with my Aura ring. I don't know if it I mean, it's super cool technology, don't get me wrong. I love it. I miss it a little. I still have it, and I can use it whenever I want. Um, it's a subscription fee once a month, so I canceled it. Don't know if that's like something to do with the money situation, but like again, $10 a month. That's the least of my concerns. But so I stopped using my Aura Ring because I found that I was hyper fixated on everything. And when I was sanding my kitchen hutch that I just finished, my step count went through the roof. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is not accurate. Considering I'm so hands-on and I'm working and I'm picking raspberries, I'm sitting my ass down on the ground and I'm picking raspberries. I'm not walking. And so I broke up with my Aura Ring and I'm feeling good about it. I'm okay with it. I don't know if we necessarily should have such in I don't know if we should have such information. I think that it disconnects us from our innate knowing, our internal guidance. And when I sit quietly, I know what my issues are. And I know that when you sit quietly, you know what your issues are. But we're real good at turning them off. We're real good at not hearing what we're saying to ourselves. We're really good at ignoring those voices, especially those quiet, calm, always there, non-judgmental voices that are just reminding us, you know, this is good or this is not good. Um, so yeah, I think that's all I want to say about that. I have not been happy with what I look like in the mirror, and I am working towards being okay with it. And I think that there's so much to it. Not feeling safe and secure in your relationship, which for the past few months has definitely improved. But like the first, second quarter of this year, it really shook me to my core. And that is when I noticed there was a little bit of influx of my weight. And so, noticing and being present in that regard, I think is going to help. Um, And so, numero three, numero uno, dos, trois. I don't know, French, Spanish, trois, tres. Consuming. This really should be number one, but I am choosing it to be number three. I love to smoke weed. I love to smoke. There's this like desire that we all have to take deep, full inhales and exhales. And unfortunately, when I have done that for the last decade, it has been alongside smoking. I smoked cigarettes for 5, 10-ish years, probably like 7 years, probably 5 with like a couple of years on the front and back side. Knowing that it was not the best for me. And randomly one day, alongside coffee, I gave up cigarettes, pretty much cold turkey, but never stopped smoking weed. Um, and so when you smoke weed, if you have not or do not often, there is this wonderful magical thing called munchies, and you want to eat. And I have had the ropes a little tighter since becoming a mom. Um, that was kind of a lie. I have had some like really dark, deep at times being fucking stoned off my brain, um, way too much, and probably not cool in the eyes of, like, being a mom, being a present stay-at-home mom. I have been stoned out of my mind, too often. Too often. And although, marijuana is a medicine, it has not been one for me for a long time. And it is something that is very okay and was okay growing up in my household. It is readily available since it has became legal. You can get it anywhere, anytime. I think that since it has became legal, it has been fucked with a little. Like, it's definitely turned more chemical. We're stupid to think that there's not pesticides and herbicides used, fertilizers, whatever horrible stuff they put on it, and then we're smoking it. It's like hard crashes or like super high highs and then like a fast hard crash. It's not really mellow, and I'm sure that there is some, you're listening to someone who has consumed a lot of marijuana, and I have my favorite strains. I have my favorite terpenes. I have a lot of knowledge in it, and it has shifted and it has changed, and it's not like it was a decade ago where you'd meet a buddy in a parking lot and you would get what you got and it would do its trick. It's definitely different now. And so I am consuming a lot less than I ever have, and really sitting with perhaps a couple of the other shadows within my life are attached to this one. And yeah, it is a lovely way to numb yourself in a way that feels still functional. I can function. I could smoke a joint and get in my car and drive and pass a roadside test. I have. I have done that. I can, I've had conversations with people expressing concerns over anxious feelings and like, how do I fix this? And I'm like, just smoke a joint. Like, it's always my go-to answer is to smoke a joint. And I've been hit back with, like, while I was stoned, like, I don't want to be a stoner. Stoners are losers and lazy. And like good friends of mine, not even knowing how often I consume marijuana. So like little things like that is, it sticks to you. It sticks to you. It sticks into the back of your mind, and you start calling yourself those words when you consume. And I'm sure that this is very common with like alcoholics or drug addicts, addictions, addicts themselves. Whatever your pick your poison, where you have this shame and this guilt, but you continue to still use it because there are the benefits that you feel comfort from. You want to smoke a joint before dinner, you want to smoke a joint after dinner, you want to, anyways, you get what I'm saying. So consuming not only marijuana, but like, I'd always have a bottle of Jack Daniels here, and I do not have that anymore. I'm really trying to relinquish the powers that I put in my crutches. I'm a pretty with it chick. I am very aware, and I still convince myself. I still convince myself otherwise. a few more shadows, and I'm just gonna like close my eyes and just say it. Um, I'm not good enough to teach yoga. I'm not fit enough. I'm not skinny enough to teach yoga. I don't know enough to create a course that would be worth an investment to someone. I'm really sitting with that, but like I do, and I have some really good, cool ideas, and I have some really cool workshop ideas, and I would love to collaborate with others. It is something that is like my life, my soul's purpose is collaboration with community, and being this Leo, power hungry human that I am. Um, Collaborating has always been. I've never been good at group projects. I was the girl who just did the fucking group project. And so collaborating with others is something that has felt um, icky to me. And so I'm trying to reframe that I want to work within the community. I want to learn from others in a very organic um, manner where I can mentor under people or assist people in gatherings, or like I attended a birth, which was so freaking cool. And so a lot of like, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, those feelings. And like my husband reminded me, I'm not alone. I know that you and I all have these thoughts, but we ignore them and we try and forget about them. And we think, we're the only ones that have these things. And so yeah. Another one is like, what the hell am I doing with this podcast? I don't know anything about editing. I don't know anything about making clips or shorts or promoting myself or marketing myself. So a lot of that, which is silly because you know what? I can learn. I'm very knowledgeable and I'm very willing and like ready to learn. And there are so many free resources out there that you can learn. If anyone can do it, so can I. So I have been sitting with like a lot of like, what's the point? Why am I even doing this? Where is this leading? I don't have enough knowledge to do this. I'm not techie enough, I'm 30. I don't, oh, my egg plug just texted me. Um, Shout out egg plug. I won't give you his name because he was sold out yesterday and I couldn't get eggs. Um, yeah, not good enough. Those feelings. Ew, yuck. I am good enough. I do know things. I know a lot of things. I know a lot. I know a lot because I consume a lot. Last night when we were chatting, my husband and I, on like what I do all day. Man, I have like 5 books on the go. I'm constantly consuming knowledge. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm doing the work. I am just not patient and I am not willing to, this is a theme of my life where I start things and I do not finish them. Um, and I'm really working on finishing things, and I have started finishing things, and it feels really good to accomplish things, to, you know, put a bow on the end of something. What else? Um, this is a good one. I am upset. I love you, Ryan. But like my sister's found this guy and she was in a kind of shit relationship for a decade, and now she's found this guy who is a cool guy. Actually, I take that back. I don't know if he's cool, but he is kind and respectful and um hardworking, intelligent, quick guy. And her and him are just fucking rolling in it. This is like circling back to the first one. My little sister is living a good life, and I am like a little bit jealous and envious of her. And I know that they're going to start looking at houses, and I know that they're gonna get a really fucking nice house and I'm gonna be pissed off and jealous. And that is so gross. And I hate that about myself right now. And it only comes in moments. And, I know that she has felt envy and jealousy towards me. And so I guess this is just me getting a little taste of it back. And she deserves it. She deserves a ballin' ass house. She deserves a good life. And I can't wait to witness and watch her do something cool with that. But it pisses me off a little, and I haven't actually told her, and she does listen to this. So, Ryan, I love you. I am a little jealous of you, and I hope that makes you feel good. And I hope, I hope that um, you can. I hope that this can even us out a little bit because I know that my sister has some past trauma from me and my craziness. And so I hope that me saying to the world that I am a little jealous and envious of your situation because, my sister has always been a saver. It's something that we always have giggled and laughed and teased her about. She's fucking tight and it's served her well. And, I know that not all of her circumstances are perfect, but I am so proud of her and a little jealous. So we'll just stop that because that's enough of that. What else? That idea of like keeping up with the Joneses, all of our friends are doing cool things, going on beautiful trips, renovating their house. Like my best friend and his wife are freaking renovating their whole house. Um, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous they're gonna have a beautiful brand new kitchen, they're gonna have a beautiful home, and that's annoying. So also, if you're listening to this, fuck you guys. I'm just kidding. I love you, and I'm really happy. And they talk to me. They ask my opinion, which like that gets me going. I love when people ask me my opinion, and then take it and then do it. And oh, I love it. She painted her bathroom the color that I told her to or suggested, and I enjoyed that. Um, what else? Oh, I feel like that's really uncomfortable, and I am going to post this to the world. And yeah, you. I feel like that's enough. I feel like that's enough. I feel like that is all I want to admit to you all. Um, I want you to do good in life. I want you to do good in life. I want you to exceed your wildest dreams. I want you to stretch and to grow and to shift into something and someone that you never thought is possible. And I'm going to feel a little jealous sometimes. And I think that that's okay. You know, I never want someone to, especially the people that are close to me, to hide their wins. I want to be able to celebrate others' wins with them, cheer them on, and know that when you are authentically living in that state, that comes back to you. And I feel like I lost that a little. And I don't know if it was like the news at my parents' house on Sundays getting too into my brain or what, but I really do believe that the world is good and that life is going to get good. And perhaps we have some tribulations throughout those years. Perhaps we feel some uncomfortable times and situations, but nothing is forever. The good won't last, and the bad, it won't last either. And to be okay with that and to understand that to live is to suffer and then to die and just being okay with that journey and having a gratitude practice and being so thankful and so grateful for the beautiful home. Like I know I have friends that have told me that they are jealous of me and my home and what I've got going on, that I'm teaching yoga, that I'm doing all these things. And yet I still have these things that come up in my mind where I'm not enough and I'm not doing good enough. And XYZ, fill in the blank. We all have these thoughts, we all have these feelings, and I feel a little lighter. And I know that my tummy is going to drop when I post this, and that's okay. Because through those feelings comes who we're meant to be. And it's too far away. I'm not going to go get it, but I have this lovely sign, and it is front and center at my yoga studio. And it is so simple and can really be put into so many different things, but no mud, no lotus. You are unable to get the flower without the mud. You cannot know what true joy is without true suffering. And yeah, I've suffered a little bit, and I am welcoming the joy. Thank you for listening. I hope that you're able to sit with the shadows that are within us all. And, like that gold mine, you have to go through some shit and some darkness and some rocks and deep, dark tunnels to find that gold. And I hope you don't give up. And if you need a cheerleader, please let me know, because it is one of my favorite things to do. I love you all.